Hello and welcome to the top 4 of General Games Win a Moat event. I'm Going King and I'm joined here by Adrian Kiddo. On one side of the top 4 we have
Death and Taxes
Death and
versus
Taxes versus Murphic, thank you.
Yeah.
And right here we've got Tim Hughes playing Lands and Kevin Ewan playing Esper Mentor. So Esper Mentor is a brew by another local called Hamish Gould. It essentially tries to play a little bit more of a controlling style, whereas Lands is just the traditional red-green combo type deck. Where do you think each player is in terms of the matchup, and who's ahead, Adrian?
Well, traditionally, Lands just wants to play all day, every day versus Delver. I'm traditionally a Lands player, so obviously I'm on Team Combo Lands for this game. But if you told me as a Lands player that I wanted to play was going to be paired versus any sort of Delver deck, anything without basics in it, which I believe Kevin's list doesn't have any basics, I'd be fist pumping as I walk to the table.
Sure. So this is not a Delver deck. This is a Mentor deck. It's got a couple of basics. It's trying to play the longer game. It's got Fact or Fiction for some extra card draw and a few spicy card options. I think there are a few Deathrite Shamans as well. So it's definitely one of the larger mana options, but it's got the full set of cantrips for playing Mentor as well.
Did you say it's playing Fact or Fiction?
It is playing Fact or Fiction. So just drawing more cards than your opponent every day.
That stand out of Invasion Block Limited.
I think it was a standout of Invasion Blocker, Limited,
and Standard,
and Extended, and Legacy for a little bit.
Yeah, at one point in time it was even restricted in Vintage. It's only came off the list probably in I think 2012. It came off. So Lands is off to a great start here with Termine Exploration. It's one of the key cards for Lands.
Yes, that is a Ghost Quarter, so the original Ascension printing, and he's just going to hope that Kevin has no basic lands to go with it.
Yes. So one of the key ways that a Lands deck can shut this sort of list down is by actually just removing all their lands. So you commented before, Mentor. Mentor is a really hard card for Lands to beat. If Lands can't basically have them on 0 lands, which means that they can then crop rotate for Tabernacle or just loam Tabernacle back into play.
Sure. So if I was Kevin, I'd be going for the gamble here. Essentially, that just means you can't get Life in the Loam and can't get a Ghost Quarter lock-in play.
It's gamble all day there. The Mana Bond is a dead card because the Exploration is already in play, and the Punching Fire just gets recycled.
Yeah, so it looks like he's making the right choice, going down to 16, but it's a little bit of a scary place on his side of the board because there's just so many ways that Tim can get ahead here as well.
Yes, yeah. I don't know what we just saw coming off the top of the Pachuca Bog, coming off the top of the deck there, but at this point in time, there's 3 more gambles and 4 loams still in the deck, all of which are basically game over pretty much immediately for Kevin, because with the Exploration and
Ghost Quarter, he can do it twice a turn.
Yeah, he goes into overdrive.
So gets rid of the Thoughtseize, not the most relevant play, but
he's trying to develop
his
mana at this point in time so that he can get a hit on mana with the Punishing Fire, so that he can get to the point where he's doing 2 a turn.
Sure, so, and if you're wondering, I believe that beautiful full art altar down there is a scrub land. So it makes a little bit more sense how he's casting the Baleful Strix there.
Poor Tim at the moment is just in the play that Lands doesn't want, which is just drawing lands. He at this point in time in the game, he would just rather develop his board.
So it used to be called 43 land. How many have we got in the deck nowadays?
You run between 34 and 36. I saw before earlier on that he's also got some spicy stuff in his sideboard. He's got a Crucible. I don't know if it's in his main deck or in his sideboard, but I definitely in game 2 or 3 I saw him playing it, which is reasonably new tech recently. I haven't seen a blue splash from him. Some Lands players play blue splashes for Academy Ruins, because then you can build some amazing intuition piles like Life from the Loam, Academy Ruins, and Crucible of the Worlds.
I haven't seen any blue splashes, but last time I looked at the list, I did see a Drop of Honey in the sideboard. So that's one which was popularized earlier in the year, but not many people have access to the cards because it's a little bit taxing on the wallet.
Yeah, it actually just recently spiked in the last week as well. Again, I would say it was bought out, but I believe there was only 4 to 6 copies available on the internet anyway. So it doesn't take many players deciding to spend their Christmas bonus or things like that to buy out a card that only has 4 to 6 available copies on the whole internet.
Yeah, that's definitely right.
So we've talked a lot about Tim's deck. Kevin's off to a reasonably good start. He's got 2 flyers at this point in time, which seeing as Tim's primary win condition is a 2020 flying indestructible, can do good work by blocking them. And now he's actually just getting to resolve a brainstorm, which is means he's just pulling ahead on cards. So he sort of reeled back with the double balefulls from the advantage game of the exploration on turn 1.
That is quite the brainstorm, hitting Stoneforge, True Name, and a Wasteland. It's interesting that despite the exploration on turn 1, Tim has still only been playing 1 land a turn, and so they're on reasonable parity at the moment.
Yep.
The Stoneforge is interesting. He's already got a Batterskull in hand. He probably has a Jitte and a Sword of Fire and Dice, knowing this type of deck is fairly close to how Stoneblade plays. Sorry, forgot the name of the deck for a few moments. But he's also just hoarding lands by the look of it.
He also just got a Wasteland there. Wasteland's a really big game versus a lands deck because of the interactions that you can play with Thespian Stage and Dark Depths. So at this point in time now, Tim, well, he doesn't know about the Wasteland yet, but he needs to either play around the Wasteland when it comes into play, or he needs to basically make Merit Large twice.
It's interesting because based on what I can see from Kevin's side of the board, if I didn't know it already, I'd assume he's on a Stoneblade shell, which doesn't commonly play Wasteland. It just tries to go a more heavy control route, so it's not something I'd necessarily be playing around on Tim's side either.
I'm not so Tim just got Ghost Quarter there, and he went for he's telegraphing that he's got a basic in his deck. These guys don't have deck lists, so there could have been actually a line there for play where Kevin didn't fetch a basic there because he doesn't actually really need the mana at this point in time because he can actually wedge Tim into making misplays if he goes, I just failed to find straight away. And he just takes the free shuffle, for example, because he just brainstorms, so he gets the free shuffle. It's something that as a lands player I see quite often is people fetch basics when they don't need them, because if you just fetch a basic at that point in time, all you're doing is exposing that basic to then being ghost quartered off as well when the inevitable loam comes out.
Sure, so you would just accept the shuffle effect off the ghost quarter and then fail to find?
It is a valid line. I don't know if he's aiming to use 4 mana in the next turn. So if he's not, there's a definite play or position there at that point in time to just fail, you take the shuffle and fail to find.
Yeah. There is a True Name Nemesis in Kevin's hand, which is quite difficult for Tim to deal with if he doesn't have a Tabernacle. So
are we still in Kevin's main phase?
He likes to go for the Stoneforge instead. Is there any, based on the Maze of Ith and the Tabernacle in the lands deck, what would be the most useful equipment against them?
It's always sort of Fire and Ice.
Always sort of
Fire and Ice because it makes Punishing Fire, protects from red.
Looks like we might not actually have a sort of Fire and Ice on the list. One of the drawbacks is not having them in front of us. So he's just shuffled that away off the Brainstorm and he's found it again, coming back to hand off the Stoneforge. So just some...
a +1 card.
It's a pure card advantage off that Brainstorm there in the Stoneforge.
That's one of the big things on fetching Batterskull there. Now that Batterskull is stranded because of the fact that Punishing Fire can get it, where Sword of Fire and Ice again, or GTA at this point in time, could be cast.
Well, he does have a land in hand, so he can just hard cast it next turn.
Sure.
If it weren't for the fact that Tim has just drawn Life in the Loam off the top of his library and we're about to go to Ghost Town. Just
Ghost Town. Yeah, so Tim's play becomes quite binary at this point in time, which is, do you still have lands? Yes, I continue to Ghost Quarter you. So I think he just played a land for the turn. So he plays Loam now, gets back, he's only got 3 lands in his graveyard, so he gets them all back, and then he just straight up Ghost Quarters. And this is what I'm talking about, where he would, if he didn't telegraph before the non-basic in his deck, or sorry, the basic in his deck, like Tim could actually get blown out by, if he hadn't, say, for example, Punishing Fire that card.
Sure.
Here's some value. He just discarded a land to Mox Diamond that he basically just drew. That's an extra land play for. I think that's an extra land play for the
Yeah,
team.
that I believe is 3 lands because he's paid the Taiga, he's paid the Windswept Heath, and he's paid the Ghost Quarter. Well, the fetch land, I should say.
Yeah, he played the fetch land.
Was the fetch land in play at start of turn? Yeah, I think the Misty was in play at the start of the turn, so it's just the Windswept Heath and the Ghost Quarter. If he had a one of the other effects here, so it looks like he's preparing just in case he draws a Tranquil Thicket or something similar, he can get in even an extra Ghost Quarter during the turn as well.
Oh yes, yeah, by loaming it back for a third time.
Yep.
Sorry, second time in the turn.
So goes for the second, and Kevin searching out an extra basic. We've got mixed matched full art lands, which I'm never a fan of personally. But they're often silverboard sets, so there's a small theme.
What's Kevin's play here? It's Windmill Slam Batterskull and try and ride it to victory at this point in time. There's no Maze of Ith on the other side.
Yeah, there's no way to interact with creatures other than the Punishing Fire, and that's gone until Tim hits until he hits a Grove of the Burn Billows.
And Punishing Fire is not that great. A single Punishing Fire is not that great versus a Batterskull.
That's right. So we're just going for the hardcast Batterskull and hope Tim doesn't have a main deck way to deal with artifacts, which they usually don't, admittedly.
No.
Just
so what are we playing here? 15 plays 15.
And really, and Kevin here is obviously aggressively fetching the non-basics against the Ghost Quarter so that he still has some targets left in his deck for when the Ghost Quarter comes back again.
Yes, that makes sense. But at this point in time, his entire game plan at this point in time will be to ride this Batterskull to four lethal attacks. And at this point in time, even if the Tabernacle shows up,
yep,
he still wins.
It's true.
Because he has to use a land drop for the Tabernacle. Oh no, he's got the Mana Bond. There's half of the combo. That was a pretty average loam from the Dredge of the Loam.
You can still turn the Thespian stage into a Ghost Quarter and just speed it up a little bit, but it's not the best option. But you're still working with the tools you have available to yourself.
Yeah, Tim really needs to roll over some of his cute one-offs, Tabernacle, Maze. It depends on how many mazes he's got. So he's copying Thespian stage there, 2 Ghost Quarter, exactly the play that you just mentioned, and then Ghost Quartering straight away. So he's all in on, I need to sweep this board, and he's going to sweep it by making his opponent have no lands.
Yep, so looks like we've still got 3 basics. That's 1 of each color, so we'll see if we've got a 4th one in there. But within the next 2 turns, if Tim hits a Tabernacle, I think that will almost just be game for Kevin. Just see exactly how it is.
Well, 13, no, because he's going to take 6 this turn. I think he's 1 turn too slow. Even if he Tabernacles next turn, he's 1 turn too slow.
Yeah.
So he needs if he gets
so he can Ghost Quarter in the next turn's upkeep and make the same play again, grab back Ghost Quarter and Thespian stage, so it's 2 lands per turn. That true name is not nice for him because it means that he's got lethal next turn rather than the 3-turn clock that we had previously.
He needs a Maze of Ith. Double Maze would be a hell of a double Maze Ghost Quarter. Grove of the Burn Willows. Is Grove?
Grove and a Molten Vortex.
Oh wow, that's main deck.
Yep, so a lot of decks are running that as a one-off, just to deal with the various creatures. Yes. And Tim, seeing the writing on the wall, packs them up.
So, post-board, I'm going to take a wild punt as to what Tim's going to bring in. He's going to bring in 3 to 4 effects to destroy artifacts and enchantments, because the normal hate package for people will involve some sort of Pithing Needle type or Revoker or something like that type effect. He's going to see, funny enough, there's Pithing Needle coming up on screen right now. was immediately pulled straight to the front. As well as that, he's probably going to bring in the Crucible as well because he's expecting something like Surgical Extraction, which is what Kevin's pulling up to the front.
So it's interesting that there was a Fossil Wheel there as the back card. So there's obviously 3/4 in the main and 1 in the board. Adds the Swords to Plowshare, so just trying to find a way to deal with the Dark Death token or the Tireless Strike if you like to bring that in, and just taking away a few of the other options. So we've got 2 Tireless Tracker, 2 Croson Grip, Drop of Honey.
There's 4 Croson Grip in that board.
4 Croson Grip, Crucible, sorry, I can't see them, and a couple of different Thorn effects.
So he did exactly the opposite to what I said, which was he didn't bring any grips in. So he's just stone cold dead to that pithing needle. I guess he's working on the theory. So decks tend to be very stack based or very permanent based, and he's trying to make the decision at this point in time: is Kevin's sideboard hate stack based or permanent based? So he's decided to play around stack based hate, and what did we see him bring in? We saw 2 Surgicals and a Swords to Plowshare. So he's
a Pithing Needle.
And 1 Pithing Needle. So, yeah. As a lands player, I very much struggle not to bring in at least 1 or 2 grips. Just for the simple reason is there's no worse feeling than your opponent just going turn 1 Pithing Needle and you've just got no out in your 60 to that card.
Yeah, and just in terms of what he's taken out, he's gotten rid of a Jace, which is interesting, and no, can't see what the other cards are.
What's that?
That's an Underground Sea. Which
no. What was the Planeswalker on the bottom of the deck there?
I did not see it, sorry. We believe it may be a Liliana of the Last Hope, so definitely not doing a lot against the lands player. Okay, looks like we have some deck lists here, just so that we can 100% confirm what we had.
So it looks like he did side in some sort of Punishing Fire. Sorry, not Punishing Fire, some sort of a grip, because there was when he rechecked his sideboard just then, there appeared there was only 1 grip left in his sideboard, so he's thought about that for a bit and then sided out.
Sure. So just to confirm the sideboard options from Tim, we had an Ancient Tomb, Crucible of Worlds, 1 Drop of Honey, 4 Croson Grip, 4 Sphere of Resistance, 2 Thorn of Amethyst, and 2 Tireless Tracker. Interestingly enough, Tim actually played this same list over the weekend at a Wintermox event, which was held at the Tabernacle at Ascot Vale. Obviously, he's been enjoying that and having some success, because I believe he may have top-aided there as well.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. The people who play lands traditionally only play lands. They are almost exclusively on it, and Tim's
yeah.
And so Tim's deck is a perfect example of a lands player. He's starting to foil it out. You know, there's another lands player here in Australia who's known as Dice on the source, and he's buying beta jewels at the moment for his. It's where lands players go, all in on the deck.
So just well, it's very interesting because just with the fact that Tabernacle's in the deck, it's a very big commitment, and has been and still is, just trying to make the deck in the first place, and it means that it's harder to focus on other decks at the same time, and that you've got quite a budget to be playing multiple different legacy decks of that type as well.
Yeah, and the lands Discord, it's probably in the lands Discord. There's probably one player a week who joins the Discord and says the first thing they say is, "Where can I get a cheap Tabernacle?" Yeah, they want to play the deck. There's a lot of people out there who want to play this deck, but just getting over that, nearly $1,500 US hump now is very hard work.
I'll go for the measly $800 hump of the Italian version. Thank you very much.
It's going to be pretty rough at $800 now as well. It's kind of crazy. You're looking at 1100ish for a light plate.
Anyway, so we go into the game. Tim leads on a Mox Diamond Ghost Quarter, discarding a Thespian Stage, and I think we're going for a similar game plan to last night. Gamble for Loam and see whether we can set up an early lock.
So because Tim's knows that he's sided in Crucible and Tracker, he knows he's just not stone cold dead to a surgical as well. So one of the things that you don't want to do is get your Dark Depth surgical. So the order goes Loam, Dark Depth, Thespian Stage for not being surgical, and here he's exposing 2 of the 3, but because he knows he's got other options.
So he chooses to do this via dice, and we get rid of a Croson Grip.
Probably the best card in his hand to discard at this point in time.
So we have Loam, second gamble.
Was it a second gamble, was it?
I thought it was, I'm not sure. So is that a Sphere of Resistance? Don't know what that card is in Masterwork.
So he's surgicaling the
Ghost Court. Oh no, that's the Thespian Stage?
Yep.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And we see the gamble, the Punishing Fire, so we're both right there, and a life from the Loam.
I like Tim's position at this point in time. His opponent's just used his card to, as I said, is in the 3rd in the list of things to do. So now he's all in on the Tireless Tracker plan. He can go manual mode on Dark Depths, but
like the thing is, he's still got the quasi strip lock in the Ghost Quarter.
Yep.
With the main problem being that he doesn't have the ability to play more than one land per turn, so he's not going to have too much of an effect on what Kevin's doing, as he's still got those 3 basics that we saw last game that he can.
Kevin reading Drop of Honey. That's a card that will really slow his opponent down. Is Drop of Honey at this point in time.
If Tim can resolve a Drop of Honey, it's just going to wreck his board unless he can get a Mentor down.
Yes, and so the other card that he pulled forward to the front there was the Crucible of the Worlds. So he's having a look at that as well. So that will be Tim's game plan.
Now, having a quick look through the list, I've just noticed we don't actually have a Mentor in the list, despite the fact that we've been calling that.
Oh, so you did the same as last round. Last round you called me Omni Show, and I was like, I have no Omniscience in my deck. I wished for Omniscience, because then I'd have Cunning Wish in my deck, which could have solved me.
We've been doing quite well. So this is just a straight Stoneblade list. The reason we did call it Espamento is the person he borrowed it off does usually have a main deck Monastery Mentor. At the moment, we've got
Gideon.
So there's Council's Judgment, Gideon, Ally of Zendikar, Stoneforge Mystic, 3 Snapcaster, and 4 True Name Nemesis. So I think his main plan at the moment is to be able to try and leverage those True Name Nemesis and hope that Tim doesn't get down a drop of honey.
Oh, just main phases, Snapcaster Mage, Flashback, Surgical Extraction.
Yeah, so
this game just got real hard for Tim.
Tim has been put back into the Dark Ages. His win conditions are now Tireless Tracker and Punishing Fire.
He must have. Yeah, he did, because he just went main phase. Life. So he paid life for both surgicals.
That's right. So just finalizing that. Looking through and just...
Don't think Tim's on 7 at the moment. So we'll just get that. So what did he draw? He drew another Ghost Quarter. It's not going to help you at this point in time.
Was the Croson Grip already in hand? Or
yeah, he drew that last turn. So his entirety of his last turn was draw Croson Grip, play Loam with no targets.
Sure. So
and
Tim's hoping he can see a Crucible of Worlds if he is wanting to play that particular style of game plan. But we're going to see a True Name Nemesis here from Kevin, who is just going to
run away with this game. It's going to be... it's not going to be pretty at this point in time.
Yeah, it's interesting because Merfolk used to be close to a buy for lands in the old style of play prior to True Name being printed, and it's just completely turned around the matchup so that the lands player almost can't win depending on the build.
I've played versus Merfolk a few times, and you can actually set them back a lot of the way nowadays, particularly with if you get an early Punishing Fire on
the Phantasmal Image.
Well, just on everything.
That's true as well. The whole deck does die to that particular card.
Yes, especially if you can just target their lords. Because
Yeah.
all the rest of their creatures, okay, this is...
That's pretty gross. Not what Tim was wanting to see there.
So what is that? It's 17. It's 3-turn clock.
Do you know what the Masterwork card in Kevin's hand is at all?
That is... Hang on a little bit of this. That is a good question. Batterskull? No. Engineered explosives? No. Cheat?
Might be the engineered explosives, but I'm not 100% certain. Anyway, so yeah, so we've just got that confirmed by our producer as being engineered explosives. But at the moment, Kevin essentially just needs to lean on the 2 true names he's got there. And I don't think there's a way for Tim to get back in this game, but
It would be exactly Mana Bond. Oh, no, Loam's gone. No, there's probably not. He's got 4 lands.
it's Glacial Chasm, Exploration, and Crucible of Worlds all in a row without any of them getting counted.
That seems rough.
That does seem quite rough to me as well.
Because Kevin is aware of the Crucible is in the deck because he's surgical twice, and like a smart play, and he's holding a Force of Will and a Council's Judgment. Yeah, okay. I don't care what you play, it's going to die. Hey, at least he can't get Force of Will at the moment.
This is one small upside.
Does not target.
Does not target.
So he's going to lose 1 true name during the next upkeep.
So we have green, is it green Porphyry Notes?
Yes, it is green Porphyry Notes.
Just having a quick read of the old text, and let's see how long it is till we get the Oracle text as well.
I'm trying to work out remember whether it's during every player's upkeep or just, it is only during Tim's upkeep. So he's just going to straight up Council's Judgment it right now.
We'll just confirm what the exact wording on the card is as well.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So he just E'd on 1 to get rid of it. So he's still holding up the Council's Judgment. Well, here comes the Crucible. And it is going to resolve.
It is going to resolve. There we go. So,
but I don't think there's anything there to save Tim at this point in time.
So
he's on 10. He's on 10.
So he's going to Ghost Quarter someone. I'm not sure whether the best player is himself or whether it's Kevin.
Well, he's got no. Yes, yeah. I think he's just going to go for the thin his deck approach of play a land and pitch it out. He needs to draw exactly. No, even if he draws exactly Tabernacle now, it's over.
I think his only draw is actually Glacial Chasm, and then see how long he can sit behind it for. If he can hit
2 turns.
Well, no, because he sacrifices it every upkeep and plays it again to the Crucible Worlds, but he also needs to hit Life in the Loam every turn if he's doing that as well. But
no, Life of the Loam
does not hit, does not draw it, and packs them up. So well done to Kevin there. Welcome back to the commentary booth. That was a great couple of games of Magic. A little bit unfortunate for the Lands player that they didn't quite see exactly what they needed.
Yeah, they were, to be honest, they were quite a wee way out of that games, both games. They weren't close. In game 1, he just was drawing 1 card a turn. And game 2, the Surgical on Thespian stage, then Snapcaster Surgical on Thespian stage.
Absolutely. So we've just got an update. In the other game, we've got Merfolk and D&T going to game 3. We'll see which one of those wins, and then we'll see you back here for the finals.